Hey everybody. Just just starting up here. Sorry for the delay. We've had quite um some technical problems, but finally got the camera working. I don't know, it wasn't happy with me for some reason. I think it was a little worried about what I was going to be showing today. So yesterday we talked about animating, and we were animating a planet, trying to create a small animation through a GIF, showing you kind of like the idea of how that would work. We started out by doing the drawing and didn't get very far because I ran out of batteries. That's all set up today. But we're going to talk a little bit more about creating that little animation and then showing you the steps on doing things further. So it's going to be super exciting. I'm really excited to show you what it's going to be about, and let's get started, right? Let's get started. Okay, so I'm actually working on something, so I'll start there because I think it's kind of interesting, and I wanted to kind of show you the steps so then you could almost imagine what we're doing with the animation that we started yesterday. Because remember, if we just go back a second to show you and remind you, we were working on all these files. This little animation, and we had created all of these layers to really start thinking about how this art is going to work within, the concept of what we wanted to do. And the idea was, let's do Saturn, a planet. Let's make rings around it, and we're basically gonna take the rings, and we're gonna start moving them like this on all of them. Just and it could even be like this, really super subtle. Um, Once we do that, we're going to again put them through a strand of images, and then we're going to play it as a whole, and then you'll see that it'll look like this. It's like all the rings are kind of spinning and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the idea. But what I was thinking about when we were going to do this today, that maybe showing you an example of something that's in the middle of progress will help you in kind of like envision what our goal is, because if you haven't ever animated, I think it's really important that we walk through that step so you can kind of see something that's actively being created. And this actually is a painting that I had done, and I put it into this program. So let's just kind of walk through that a second, give you a better perspective on what we're trying to accomplish here. I always get dizzy. Look at all the art. I think you guys have probably seen a lot of this. So let's go on to this one right here. This is kind of has a concept behind it. It's I did an oil painting. This is actually an oil painting. You can, if I zoom in, you can start seeing the details. Like it's all rough. It's oil. Um, that's my process to do oil. Then what I did was I cut it out of its scene, traced around it in Procreate, and put it within the scene. And for this specific, this animation actually has been one of the most complicated animations I've tried to do this to this point in Procreate specifically. And it's because I'm creating an animation. If you look into my layers, I'm creating an animation in, if you look at all of them, I'm gonna run you through it, right? Showing you all of these layers. And what's happening is, as you run through the layers, you can see every time we add, things start to melt. See how it's melting, and then it's starting to go into this other one that I've done, right? So I can give you an idea. So if we play it now, this is kind of the result. Every frame has the next step involved. So if I pause and I run through it at the bottom, see, I'm kind of running through these frames. There's a little blue line that you probably can't see under each frame to say this is where you are. So you can see I went from here to there, and you can see me creating this melting effect. Now, a few things. I've got two things going on. I got a rotation that's happening, which I don't have in this animation, if I show you. So this is just the melting scene. That's one set of animation. But what I'm trying to do with this new piece is I'm one-upping myself. So you have the melting here, but then if I go over to this animation, let's see. I think it's on this one. I guess we're going to find out. Yeah, so then this animation, check this out. Very fast, don't get dizzy. This is another animation. And this is, again, another version of this vehicle. And I am taking these vehicles and I'm putting them within a sequence of, and if you look, I have all these subfolders. All of these things within things, all the little paint intricacies. God, that's a hard word to say. And so then when you look at them, they're all of my vehicle that I painted in all of the views that I painted them. When I painted them, I felt like I skipped one. See how it goes from here to here? That's not cool. To there. So it's like maybe that one to this one. I think I should skip this one. Maybe it's this one. Yeah. So I've created these different painting sequences within, I know it's in here somewhere. I could probably find it and show you. And then I am I did like 4 paintings. And so, I mean, ultimately this is what I did. I did a front view of the ice cream truck. I did a 3/4 view. I did a side view, and then I did a back view. And then when I started doing the animation, I did the front, the 3/4, the side, and the back. And for the other side of the vehicle, I just mirrored and flipped it to do the other elements to get to the full circle of the animation. I feel like to make it less chunky and more smooth, I have to paint a back 3/4, but I haven't done that yet. And I'm still debating on if I need it, because what I could do in the future is to create some blurring and other elements that might help us with that information. So this is kind of like a great example of once you start stacking your images, which we're going to be showing you in this other animation we're creating, this is the result of what you're ultimately wanting. So I have an animation of a spin, and then I have an animation of a melt. And those two animations are going to be combined in the end, where it's like rotating for a little while. It's like do 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 do, you know, the music, and then it stops, and then the music kind of goes, ooh, maybe. This is my thought. And then it starts to melt slowly off the truck, and it exposes an entirely different message. So the painting starts, because I feel like a lot of the times my work is about some message that I'm trying to get across and just create conversation with things, that hard topics people don't want to talk about. So we start with an ice cream truck and we're like, I love ice cream. And then as it does its thing and it gets to the bottom and it melts off, then suddenly you're just like, oh, what is this? Why is this being exposed? So that's kind of the concept here. So now you kind of get a great visual. Now we go to this one. I do have actually a couple other animations that I think would be super cool to see. I had created these warp speed aliens for some drops that I have done, where when you bid, you would get this warp speed alien. And I can show you, I mean, there really aren't that many frames, but when it animates, you're like, oh, that's super cool. And there's really not much into it. It's more about getting past the fear of doing this, and then suddenly some things just become more natural. So let's get into it. Okay, so now where we were before, we created a texture, and I'm going to turn it on and off so you can see it. You can kind of see the moon color, the texture's changing. We added some texture to that. I think we're happy with that for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these clipping masks that we created, and I'm going to merge. Whoa. I'm going to merge this mask to it. And also take that. So this circle can just be like merging. I'm going to just basically merge this texture idea that we had down. I think we're happy with it. We didn't really use the green. I think that's too much. I'm going to just delete that. So right now I'm just like after making the final calls, I'm just like walking through what I feel like is fine to delete. I always like to make sure I save a copy at the beginning because you just never know when you get 60 steps in, you're like, oh my God, I totally deleted that layer, but I feel like it just didn't work. So if you ever question whether or not you need it or not, save it in a file for now. At some point, Procreate is very limited with how many files you can create, especially when your file size is huge, because you always want to go as big as you can at the beginning. But that also limits the amount of layers that you can have. So right now, I feel like that's good. I also feel like we don't need the circle that we started with. I think the planet itself is fine. Though, right now it looks like a chopped piece into another piece. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this planet, and as we talked about, I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to make one disappear so I don't see it for now. And then I'm going to try to soften the edge to the planet because it's like if you look, it's cut out. It's like it looks like it's just right cut out in the scene. So let's see if we can just add a mask. Ooh, this might work too. Okay, I have an idea. Maybe. Okay, hold on. Let's try this first. Okay. Um, and I think it's important to say too, is like sometimes you just do. It's not like anybody's really an expert in any of the programs. And the way I do it, I think I don't think I mentioned it last time. This is like something I should say in every single recording. I am not a pro at Procreate. I don't sell the program. I enjoy using it. I've finally got to a point where I'm used to it. There are so many elements that I don't know that I'm learning every day. This is the way that I work. I think other people work differently. Like for instance, when I was filling in my moon, I was using the paintbrush, but you could also just drag and drop the color right onto the thing and be probably a lot faster. But the drag and drop is still new because every time, sometimes since I'm drawing a lot of the stuff, if I drag and drop, there's always a hole in my drawing and it just fills the whole page. I'm less vector. I'm more raster when I'm creating stuff. And vector means is like all the lines are very crisp and clean, and you can see the beginning and the end. I'm more sketchy, so I think it's harder for the program to take that information and understand where I'm going with it. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go to the blur, and I'm going to go. Let's see. I wonder if I can blur. I guess I can't blur in later. So right now, I'm going to target the blur. What do I have this on? This isn't even working. Oh, I'm on the layer. Whoopsie. Okay, let's try it again. Always remember to make sure you're okay. So this might not work. Obviously, it's going to go, whoa, super blurry. And what I can do actually is like figure out on this layer how blurry I want to be. I almost want to go crazy blurry in some areas, right? You're like, that's too blurry. But then I can take the layer, another layer that I saved, and put it over it, and then go and do this. And then I'm going to create a mask on this one, and I'm going to just like create, woo, what brush am I holding on to? I made it really blurry. And then maybe change the opacity if you can see that. And then I'm going to just like, there we go. I'm trying to be very gentle with my touch, and I'm like, why isn't it working? It's just I'm too gentle. So, all right, so that's going to be fun. I'm just going to blur it in some area. So it really reads as atmosphere. And with the, and then I'll go back, and then I'll kind of go back to this, and then I'll go back to that, and then I'll kind of go back into the center of the page of the planet. And let's see. And if anybody has any comments, feel free to ask me any questions, and I'm happy to answer them for you. Okay, there we go. Doesn't that look better? Like, so before we had it super sharp like this, right? Okay, I'll get it closer. So before we had it like this, and now we have it like just a little blurrier. And we can always tweak it. Like we can always just dull off a few things. I'm keeping a mask on it. So at any time I'm like, oh, I want to see what this looks like original. And I can start playing back and forth and just wondering what that looks like. Again, this is for a GIF for Spacebots on Discord. I have a lot of people that are asking for them. They think they're fun, and I've been so busy that I haven't had time to do them. So I thought, okay, let's do them here. And so these are going to be super small, and just you're going to just see them and be like, oh, those are cool, and they're just going to move. Just going to move a little, and you're going to be like, that's cool. So the few important things to remember when you're doing something like this is always think of the profile of the art that you're doing. If you don't think of the profile, then if you just do a circle with, for instance, a smiley face, but it's so tiny, it's going to be hard. It's going to be far less interesting. So when you're doing it, think about how things are sticking out and how that's playing a role. So when you're done, it's more interesting. Like for instance, this probably won't have this really cool background to illuminate some of the things that are happening, but you know, it's just cool for me to see it. Okay, so now that we've done this, and let's say I'm happy with the blur, what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to take this whole layer, I'm going to duplicate the whole entire folder of content. I'm going to turn it off and store it for another day. Hold on one sec. Sometimes it likes to grab, make sure it's the only thing you're selecting. And I'm going to also put that within. So this is just my save, just in case I want to go back to it. At the end, that whole folder is going to be deleted. So I think it's important to have that information. Okay, so I've deleted that. I'm opening this back up. Now I'm going to try to close some layers. And I'm going to show you a mistake I made because I think it's important to see. So I was filling in these rings just for a quick update. And that ring, oh wait, is it the same ring? Maybe it's the same ring. Okay, it's the same ring, it'll work. But if those were two different rings, I can't have them on the same layer. Because if I do, once I move one ring that they're attached to, the other, you're going to just see this random floating painted part, and it's not going to work. So I'm going to merge that down with the layer underneath it. I got the three rings. Now would be a good opportunity, now that I'm starting to do this differently, to name this. With my pen, it's so annoying sometimes. We'll just say ring 1 for now, or it'll say rings because it doesn't want to correct. Here, ring 1. Let's try see if that works. Yep. And then we'll do this one. Rename. Ring 2. And if it would just delete the stuff it's supposed to. I also heard that someone mentioned to me that Procreate has a 3D part now. That's huge. I actually, once I saw that, I went on and looked it up and watched a little video and stuff. That's a big deal because it looks like, though, I can't say for sure, and I think we're going to do some videos on that to kind of test it together. It looks like that you can take any of your own OBJ model, which is like a 3D model that you've created in another program, and or buy one. And they also have test subjects that you can test on. Bring it into your Procreate scene. It's kind of like ZBrush, but not, obviously, but ZBrush allows this access. And then you directly paint on your model. And I'm curious if they hold texture maps, because an OBJ does. So they're either getting ready to do something epic like that, but it also talked about displacement maps, which I find interesting. So soon I'm going to do a little research, and then in the next few weeks, we will bring in an alien that my good friend Sean Paul has modeled, and we will try and paint that model, our little Spacebots alien, the character that we're dropping, on Procreate, and let's see what we can do with it. I mean, how cool but we'll get into that in the future. I just wanted to mention that because it was on my mind. Okay, so we're titling this last one Ring 3 and getting rid of that. Cut. And then I think the planet, I'm going to be happy with the planet. Now I can merge it because I did copy everything. And I'm going to merge it down with this one. And then, I mean, for what we're doing, I'm going to take out the stars altogether. But maybe I'll darken the background a little more like that, just because we want to see it, right? And I think what I'll do also is I will take this whole layer and I will rotate it more so we can actually just have it situated, I think, the way I would see it. And in fact, maybe I would turn it a little. Okay, now we got that going. Now what we're going to do is we have 4 layers. We're going to take these 2 layers, just take them out because I don't want to duplicate them over and over again, especially if we're not using them. We have 4 layers. 4, where's the camera? There we go. There's the camera. 4, and my daughter. 4 layers that we're going to start to move. I think right now we're just going to keep the planet still. But I think it might be cool if we rotate it around like this while the rings are rotating. Anyway, you'll see. Different direction. Okay, so first thing we do is we already have our first animation frame. It's right here. We just created it. Now I'm going to close this group. We'll call, I don't even think we need names because it's going to be short. Then you duplicate it. Now you have a second layer. Now we go into the second layer. Notice at the bottom of the screen you have 2 frames. 1, 2. But you don't see them moving because we haven't done anything. So we take that and now just the littlest tweaks, like if you were doing stop motion, which I have done many, many years of, and take those tweaks and you're going to go 1, you see that guy move, right? And you're going to take this one and you're going to do 2, and then you take this one and you're going to go 3. I hope right now. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So family first. Oh, hi, welcome back. I'm so glad you came back. I'm so sorry we lost connection, but we're plugged in correctly. Yeah, this is fun, right? Thank you for saying it looks good. Looking good. I hope what you're going to find out is that the only reason why some of you haven't animated is because it's the fear of the unknown. Because I honestly, I used to sing a song with my mom when I was younger, and we would start cracking up. It would be the funniest thing. So my mom and I obviously lived together because she's my mom. And when I was younger, my mom's an artist. I was raised as an artist from day one, all art. And we would start doing a project, putting up wallpaper, for example. We'd always be doing something. And for some reason, something wouldn't go right. So we would figure out a resolution. We'd be like, oh, well, if we do this, and like something that wasn't supposed to be, for instance, and like instead of using glue because we didn't have the right kind, we would use some household product. Crazy. And we would start laughing so hard while doing it that I would start singing the Mickey Mouse Club. I'd be like, this is Mickey Mouse. And my mom and I would laugh so hard because we would just reminisce about how we always can't seem to find the right path, the correct path to do something. We would find a weird way of doing it. So I guess what the point I'm making is that sometimes when I do stuff, I go and try doing it different ways. And I guess what I'm saying is if it works for you, there's no wrong answer, especially in art. I don't care how someone else does it, because if you can do it the same way with a different approach, then you're both right. And maybe, obviously, maybe the program was made for a very specific approach, but you as an artist, if you find a way that works for you, then do it. Like, don't worry about what people will say, because that's the whole thing about art, right? It's subjective, and the process can happen anyway. So here we go. We've already made 2 frames. We're on. And I think I'm going to rotate the planet too, but I'm going to rotate it like this. Okay, so let's try it. Here we go. Oh my God, look at that. 2 frames. It's on a loop. You just animated. I mean, literally, you could stop right here. Let's get that big. And you could be done, but it looks a little weird. But my point is, that's what there is to it. Okay, so now we've done that. Hopefully no one had like random issues from seeing that frame so many times. So now I've done that. Looks great. Super happy. The important part is, remember how they have like this ghost image where if you go to this and you go to settings, you can see, remember how we talked about that? You can see where you were before, right? Which helps you plan and animate for the next level. And then you have the onion skin again, you plan for that. So as you're doing it, it creates this really nice flow. The other, I think, way of doing it, and maybe it's just we all do it this way, is simplifying by just duplicating the last layer. Let's see. Let's see here. So we're going to take this layer and we're going to just duplicate this. Now we have this next layer. Okay, so remember this. So if you're on the first layer, you see this, second layer, third layer. Why are we not moving? There we go. It should pop to the every one we do. Okay, now, so you see where the red is. So now I'm going to go, wait, did I go up or down? Let's see. I went from here and I was going that direction. Okay, so I want to continue that way. So now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to go, okay. Now you see the red? Suddenly it's becoming really helpful, especially in this scenario. So now I'm rotating it more. And then I'm going to take this ring and I'm rotating it more. And I might need to go and just eraser. You know, this is overlapping a little. And then, okay. Yes. Oni, yes. Oh, Oni, you were the one who gave me that information yesterday. Absolutely. You can upload OBJ to Procreate. Yes, it is a game changer. Yeah, because I think you yesterday were saying on Twitter, you were just like, wouldn't it be cool if we could do our own work? And I replied with, yeah, you can. You can do an OBJ. I watched a video. Absolute game changer. Oni, let me know as you update and look into it. I'm going to look into it too. And I think we should do a live session. I'm afraid to say I should do it when I've never looked at it because that could go terribly wrong. Like I might not even know how to rotate something, but maybe that would be fun for us to learn together, or maybe I'll just do a little bit of research so we can kind of see what's going on. But yes, it's a total game changer. Okay, so we've got everything moved, right, guys? Okay, we're gonna try it again, see what it looks like. Now we're getting more movement. Oh, the one thing I didn't change though is the planet. And continue rotating that. I don't even think that's a real circle, so that should be interesting. Okay, so now we, oops, don't snap. Okay, so this is ultimately what we're doing. And then we can do it once more, right? Let's do one more duplicate again. And we're gonna change all the rings. One more rotation like that. See, like this. And right now you're just, I'm like, this is like not the best animation I've ever done, but wait until we pull it together, okay? Before we start crying. Because, you know, also envisioning what it's going to be or what you think it could be. All right, so that's cool. Now we got the up, and then it snaps back to the beginning, and then it does up, and that's what the loop is, right? So you've got this flow up nice, right? So if we lead into it, it's like floop. So see how if it did that, it would be a lot cleaner than if it does this. See how you see it's like snap, 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 because if we're doing a nice lead up, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's like snap. But if we did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4, 3, 2, 1, you're filling all those frames in, so it's a lot smoother when it goes to the top. and then it comes back down, and suddenly it's like it's got more motion. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to literally duplicate the 4 folders that we've made and put them in the opposite order, and then we'll have a full loop of the animation. The difference is on this scenario, once we do duplicate those layers, which we're talking about, and if anybody's confused, please let me know. Family First says, is there a way to adjust the speed of the loop? Yes, and we'll get into that next. Once we finish that animation of a smooth, I'll show you how you can add frames so it's not so fast. But if you want to, yeah, it's like if you want to actually make it smoother, you have to add more frames and more transitions. So right now we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want it to be slower or smoother and slower, you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the more frames in a second, the smoother it will be. And then and then when you do add frames to slow it down, it's not choppy. And I'll show, again, we can walk through that. Okay, so we got all the frames. We're like, cool, this is cool. We don't want it to go any further. Now, I mean, we could go all the way around. What should we do? Should we step back down so it's like Saturn where it's like this? Or do we like go all the way around? Do we make the rings just go all the way around Saturn? Any thoughts? We'll see. I'm going to start getting prepared for the next step. If you guys have a comment, leave it there and we can add that to it. Okay, so we got the 4. I'm going to keep the first one the same because it'll when the loop comes back around, it'll just take the first one. I'm going to copy this one. Let's see. Duplicate this one, and that's going to be the last one. Oh, Oni, I see you in Discord. She says thanks Tori, or he, I'm not sure. Thanks Tori, would love that and would also love to see your process. Oh yeah, that's coming. So I figured I'd finish this one, and then next live session is going to be me doing an oil painting. Like we will start together. I'll draw it out before, draw it out with pencil so you can kind of see the image, and then we're gonna paint it. Like you're gonna see me do an oil painting on the first session, and then the next session, because that could take, I don't know, hour, maybe it'll be short, I don't know. Then I'll photograph it, put it in the computer, and you can watch my process, which will be a lot of fun, because you know, I enjoy. You can see me get paint all over my face. Okay, so we repeated the first one. Now we're gonna repeat this one. And that one is going to go here because let's see, I might get the order all wrong, but we'll see. And then, so let's turn it all off and watch it move animation from here. Let's see, hold on. Okay, so we go from here to here to here to here. And then that one's a duplicate. We got to get rid of that one. And then that goes back up. Okay, so this one should not be in here. Let's see, now we try it. I'm just like playing through the bottom here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that one, 4. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it starts to go back up, 1, 2, and then I need one more. Or is this the one? Yep, okay, I think I did it. So again, we have this. This is the first frame that starts everything. Second frame, third frame, fourth frame. Oh man, my pen wants to move all the frames. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's play it. Let's see, because there should be 3 and 3. Okay. A little fast. So now we have to slow it down. God, that's very wobbly. All right, so we go, and I'm gonna get rid of the onion skin because that looks weird. And see how this is a big transition. I think that's the biggest transition. And it almost looks like when I was moving. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's try this. 1, 2, 3. Then it should be one drop down. That to that. So I'm missing a few frames. So we're going to make sure that I have them. I got these 3, and then the fourth one I made 1. Oh, there we go. I had some turned off. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3. Those are the frames, and then 4. That's the fourth frame, and then we go. I'm gonna delete these so we could do it again, and then we're gonna copy these 3 frames. 2, 3. So this one will be next because we want to go back down, and then this one. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, and then this should be 1. Okay, that should be better. There we go. I had several layers off. It's still fast. Interesting flicker we got going on, but better, right? So now imagine this. Remember, we're making a GIF for Discord, right? You got to imagine it this small. So the idea is for this scenario, you want enough movement so you can see it from that small distance, right? Because this is about the size it's going to be. In fact, I look at it and I wonder, should we do something else? Like, should we okay, this is what I mean when I say, should we do something else? Should we, now that we have the layers, yeah, if you wanted to make it slower, let me just show you that a second, because I know that was mentioned by Family First. How would you slow it down? Okay, so at the bottom, you see, I'm going to move them a second. You see these guys moving down here? See the line? This is the timeline. I'm going to take each timeline and just click the frame, and it's going to give me these options. And I'm going to say hold duration, which means make another frame. That's what that means. And I say hold duration. So now you notice on the frame, you see how there's another one, there's a little gray one there. And then I'll do the same for this one, hold duration by 1. So it's like, it's basically saying add another frame, add another frame, add another frame. And I'm doing it for all of them. Okay, now when you play it, see how it slowed it down? Maybe we want it slower. When you add more frames to make it slower, though, you've got to remember that if you don't have a lot of in-betweens, it will become a little choppier and a little choppier and a little choppier. But let's go to 2. So then you go again, you click on the frame and you go, let's try 2. I wish there was a way to just say, you know, do this activity to all frames, because I feel like this is a waste of my time. But yeah, like trying to get it to at the same time, though, I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. All right, so now we have 2 frames. Let's see what that looks like. See how it's like, okay, now we have it slower, but let's zoom out and see if it still works. And I don't know if I don't think the 2 rings next to each other move enough as a separate. Like when I look at this, I'm like, I like the big yellow one that's kind of like whoop, whoop. So I'll pause it. I'll open it up, start here, and maybe on this one, I'm going to move these rings like this. And then maybe I'll move this one the other way. Like maybe I'll do that. And then that will require me to take those rings and do it. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to delete all these rings. They're now old news. Duplicate this ring because I've decided to take a different tack on it and go to this ring. And now, again, this would be a good time to get my onion skin so I can see where it was. So now I can say, okay, I was here. Let's see. And now I'm here. This. Whoop. Okay. All right, so this is where we were. This is the start, and then we go this way. So now we're saying, okay, well, this one, do I want to go up? Yeah, let's go up. So I'm going to go up again. You see, that was dramatic, to be clear. Okay, so this to this to this. Wait a minute. Okay, this to this. Oh, I like that one going like that. That guy. I like that guy. Do you like it? That goes this, and then here I'll take him again, and I'll leave him. Woo! Almost like an atom. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so anyway, and then we go here. You can see how mundane this can be as a side note. If you're deep in it and doing crazy animation, this is this is how crazy people are born. Okay, so we go from here. So then we go from here to here, and then from to there. I think that moves well. And then this guy, we have this to this to this. So, okay. And then the yellow one is not really moving. So we should move it, right? Maybe maybe it's drastic. Maybe it's like this. Well, that's too much. Let me try again. Like this. I'm like, let me just move it all the way. So we have this to, let's see, now I know where it is. This to this. You see what I'm doing? Like I'm rotating it. Yep, I knew I would do this. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it and then let's keep going. Da-da. And now you see I'm losing track of some of the detail of the animation. So that'll have to go back if I really want to do something like this because the ring is shifting. I'll have to center it again and it gets into more detail, but let's just see what this crazy looks like. Oh, that's kind of cool. And again, it's going to be that small. And I think it's important to say, when it's this small, the detail of it doesn't matter. Like the texture, yeah, I can actually still see the texture. That's cool. But what I can't see is that the circle, the ring that I made, there's some deleted areas because it's behind the planet that I expose because I'm rotating it. I can't see that. So why would I fix it? Like for me, the importance is how it looks from a distance. That looks actually really cool. In fact, I think I might want to look at how that one ring just stays still. Do we like that? Or do we want to like this? Which ring is that? Is that this? No, that's this ring. Do we want to move that ring? So now I could, wow, this is actually, okay, so that goes that way. Maybe we move it or I don't know. I kind of like that there's one thing staying still so the other two really get that movement and it's fun to watch him move. Um, yeah, I'm kind of happy with how that's coming. Um, I wonder how you guys are feeling about it. And then from there, we could go, ooh, okay, that's the basic. This is basic animation. This is taking the frames per frame, moving parts at small quantity, and then creating another part at small quantity and moving, moving, moving. It's stop motion at its simplest form. If you want to get more complicated, you can. For instance, if we wanted to go into this scene and go from, look at the bright yellow ring, right? If you were to take a bright yellow ring and you wanted to like go into like this Captain Passport right here, for instance, if you look, in fact, I might just have the Captain's Passport in my plethora of files. Let me look. And I'll show you how it works. So the Captain's Passport is really unique. Here it is. It's really unique because I had to animate. Here we go. So you just saw animating, and I'll play it again while I'm telling you about it. Right? This is the animation. I did it in Procreate, which actually blew my mind because I was like, I thought I had got to the point where I couldn't animate anything more complicated, and then I did this. I was like, oh, okay. So there's a story behind this Captain Passport. So the story is for the collectible that I'm doing, which is called Spacebots, and I'm creating character-driven game, and this is utility behind it, which this is actually something that you can purchase on OpenSea, and it gives you access to. Oh my God, I was just talking to my developer today, and we're like, let's add more utility on the Captain Passport. And I was like, okay. And so we literally like sat down and started tacking on even more. So everybody who's purchased it already, we haven't even announced that there's more utility on it, which is super exciting. So with the Captain Passport, it allows you to, or the behind the scenes is it allows you to mint pre-sale a certain amount of characters. So you go onto the site, you have this in your wallet, you put your wallet information, or you click connect to your wallet, and then they'll be like, hey, you're a captain. Welcome to Captain, welcome to our website, and how many do you want to mint? And you get access up to 5 for this specific drop, and you get access early. And so then you would go ahead and you would mint as the quantity that you want, up to 5, and then you would be able to, the hope is to make a selection, and there it is. Like, you've got your guys. And so if you look at the animation on this, let's zoom in a little more. I had to figure out, I'm like, okay, we've titled it Captain's Lounge Passport. I had to kind of plan out what I wanted to do. And we had decided that it would be super cool to create a passport. And the funny thing about it is, when we came up with the idea, I started laughing, and my developer's like, wait, what's so funny? And I was like, do you realize when I was a little girl, I used to make passports. I used to like make passports, fake passports. I'd find that pebble material surface with a bit of sheen, find old paper. I was like, literally, I took a bookmaking class so I could actually sew the passport together, and then I would just like put in my own content, because now it's a passport. So I was like totally obsessed with passports. And then we come to this, and it's like, okay, here we go. Let's make a passport. So I was super excited about this, because now I have all of these skills that I could actually use to create this passport. So I started out by saying, okay, what's the idea of it? It's a captain. It's you're controlling, you're leading, you're flying. And so what we decided to do, or what I decided to do, was to create a passport with an animation inside. So once it opened, again, double animation, which is what I'm doing on the ice cream truck, I decided to open the passport, and I was going to animate a ship or spaceship going through, hitting the different planets, ping, 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 through. If you see right there, right? We'll even stop there to show you. So here he is, right? He's coming. And then watch. Oh, you see that? Let me zoom in. 2 ships. Like, I am trying to create a blend. I'm trying to create movement. I'm running out of layers, and I'm now being creative. I'm like, okay, if I add this and this, and then it's like I'll create a more of a blur or a blend by doing these elements. And then it goes in. See, again, look, boop, just to help push the idea, and then off it goes. But it's like ways of doing it, being creative, no rules. And if there is a way of doing it a different way, I decided to go this way. If I get the same effect, awesome. Like, I'm not worried. One day someone will be like, if you just did this, you could avoid that. Be like, awesome, great, especially if it's easier. I'm on board. So this is the idea. So you'll notice the name of the planet. So Planet Crystal, Planet Blight, Screet, and Planet Lacuna, which is actually our first drop, is Planet Lacuna. And the Lacuna race is, there are actually 2 a controlling, and then the main population public, which is the brain. And it's so funny because when I was creating this character, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I have like this exposed brain. And in the collectible series, when it comes out, it's a like there's a brain with one cone, there's a brain with two cones, there's a brain that's round. Then we have more. We have a brain that actually looks like a hairstyle. We have a brain that comes out and bigger. And I'm thinking I'll probably show it to you in the future and show you kind of how I created the characters. So we have all these brains, and then let's see. Let me see if I can show you a little sample because they're super cool. And this is the Lacuna race, okay? Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Let's just take this off. All right. Here we go. I'll show you this one. Yep. Okay. So again, everything's, like I said, everything's in Procreate. So if I go into my animate, remember how we did this? We went into this, and then we go add canvas here, animation assist. I turned it on, and now check it out. These are all of the characters and races that are going, and this is actually, this character right here is the character that I'm talking about, Lacuna race, and that's one of the characters, as well as then we also have this character too, which I think is super cool. So this is another brain shape. So see how the first one was round. Now I'm going onto this hair shape, and then if you look beyond that, and this is really cool too, and I feel like because I'm into the collectibles and I'm creating these collectibles all in Procreate. Like this entire series has been in Procreate. And once I'm done in Procreate, I push them all into Photoshop, and that's a lot faster to like file, do all the filing and stuff and the naming conventions and stuff because it's faster. But if you look into my page right now, if I show you and I zoom in, look at my thing here. It's like, look at all these layers, right? We have, if you see this, I'm like, okay, that's a cool one. But what if I did this shape for the tank or the helmet? And then let's say, oh, if I do that, then I have to change the shape of the head. And so let's change the shape of the head. We'll take that head off. We'll put this head on. And now it fits. Now it's the shape of the head. I'm like, oh, you know what? That's kind of cool, but check this out. I like that helmet better. Wait, that doesn't fit. Well, if you put this shape in, and take that one off, now it fits. And that actually happens to fit that one and the other one. So it's super, super cool. This one and that one both fit. And see how all the pieces fit together beautifully. Again, Procreate. Layer all the elements just like Photoshop, but you have the control of the pen, especially me who's very portable. I like to do everything portable. This whole process that I've done has been super rad and exciting to go through it. So going back to just kind of give you a better idea of the passport, if I can show you the rest. So you have the passport here. They've pinged to all the planets. And every time I ping to a planet, what I've done is, let me show you in the layers. If I open this file right here, you'll see all the layers that are involved in creating that moment, right? And like this, if you look at the image, let's see, it's this one. Boop, boop. Let's see, I gotta zoom out and see where I am. Here we are. All right, so if I go on this, okay, so see this? See that ping? Boop, boop, boop. You can see that in that one scene, one sequence, there's a bright light. Every step you go, if you emphasize a moment, you have to enlarge it and create a new moment for it. And so that's kind of like the concept. And so all of those steps created this kind of captain's passport feel where you're like, I'm a pilot, like I'm flying a ship. And then, I have a stamp in there that you can kind of see that I've created and designed to put in there to be like, you're a pilot, you can mint up to these pieces. And then it gives you pre-sale for all the drops that we're doing in the future. And because this is going to be a game, it gives you early access to these new characters that we're dropping, all done in Procreate. Super exciting. I'm super excited about this whole kind of concept and idea. Again, all done in Procreate. So that was that one. But I think today we've managed to get a really cool little animation for what we wanted to create, which is this, right? And I guess I'm going to drop that on Discord. But oh, one other cool thing I wanted to show you. Okay, so because this I was thinking about while dreaming. So you have your animation. I think it's pretty cool. You know, again, I'm going to do so many, like just start creating, do simple, do complicated, whatever. So I was going to actually first flatten all the layers at some, that when I'm done. But let's say for now, I'm going to flatten not into the base. So we're going to do this. We're going to take this layer and we're going to just click on it once and then say flatten, right? You see that yellow too we'll have to deal with, but for now it's okay. Flatten, right, flatten. I'm doing all the layers. So now we've gone from a million layers to 4, right? Why did I do that? Well, because there's a plan. So now first I'm going to see the edges from the yellow that's like, whoa, 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 making a lot of noise. I'll just go to every layer with an eraser and just kind of soften, if I can, that so it's not so noisy, that edge. Even though you're not even going to see the edge, that's a big enough edge where I'm just like, oh, maybe I'll just kind of clean that up. So I'm just kind of softening the edge. But what I wanted to do, which I thought would be really fun to show in the end, is take this one off. Take this off. Okay, now that all the edges are softened, I'm going to take all of them and I'm going to do this. Ooh, whoa. There we go. Okay, now just because I shrunk it doesn't mean it doesn't work. Play. Oh, geez, look at that. Now, I thought it would be cool. So you see it's still animating. Everything looks good. Now I'm going to pause and I'm going to be like, okay, I got four animations. Now, if I want, I can go and create more animations on this page. And at the end, we'll have a bunch of little baby animations just like working at the same time. And we can just like flatten them all to their own bits, put them all on the same page, see them all working. So like on this one, I could do this. I could be like, oh, da, 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 da. And now only on that one, you're going to see that flashing, right? So that's kind of like the idea. I am going to go and start a new animation next to this little guy and go through the same pages and you'll just see this little animation on the side as I do it. You're like, oh, for instance, if I just wanted to do a heart, super, super simple, I'm like, oh, look at that. It's so cute. And then I'm going to I'm going to take this heart, I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to go, oh, it pasted it for me. And then I'll go to this, and then I'll go and I'll make it bigger here. And then I'll go copy, duplicate that, and then put it, come on you. And then I'll make it bigger. And then copy it again. And then I should make it smaller. But actually, rather than do that, if I'm going to do that, I'll duplicate this one because we got to go back down. Remember, we got to ramp up and then ramp down. Like that. Okay, so kind of interesting that now when we do it, right, now we have 2 animations on the same page playing. I mean, obviously, maybe I won't do a heart, but I think it's super cool. I think the idea of that is super cool. And then you can see in green, it shows all the before and after layers. So that's kind of like my next step I thought would be pretty neat is to animate the planet, do a bunch more animations. Maybe it'll be like Good Morning Space theme, GM with like stars, and maybe the only animation in the GM is going to be the stars in the background flickering. But they'll have to be pretty dramatic, right? Because we're small. So we have to do it where you see, and maybe the good morning gets a little bigger, a little smaller, like a heartbeat, or maybe it'll be like, because I also made an animation, which I think was pretty cool too, which is this one. So this one, if I play it, remember this one? Done in Procreate, of course. And the way, oh, check that out. The way I did it is if you open the layers, I literally just did this layer, this layer, this, like I literally made a ton of just different layers and then played them together and like made it so they would skip, right? And so and then when you played it, it kind of gave that glitchy bit. And that's how I made it. I literally just copy pasted a ton of S's, filtered them a little within the filter, which is again super easy to do, and then I just played it back. But that I think is a great way to end this session, and so appreciate all of your time. Thank you so much for watching. Please go ahead and follow me on Spacebots Spacebots Game, or the Twitter would be at Spacebots Game. Follow me on Discord. I'm going to be doing a lot of these kind of live sessions, and everything is going to be kind of stored there where you can find it. So, you know how when you put it on a Twitter feed, it kind of disappears. But on my Discord, I'm making these available so everybody can see it, which will be super fun. So I'd love for you guys to follow me there and then see what's new. I love getting recommendations. If anybody has any questions within this program or even Photoshop, ask me what they are, put it on Discord, and we can make a live session and talk about these things and try to get those issues resolved. Or if you have art that you're doing and I'm like, I'm kind of stuck. I was using the program, but I don't really know how to engage or do it in this way. Just then let's talk about it, bring it live, give it as an example, and we can walk through it and see if we can figure it out. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. I will see you. I think Monday's our next one. The kids are out of school for the next 2 days. That's going to be interesting. Right now the computer's not shaking, but if my daughter was in the room, it would be. But it's been a lot of fun today. I'll talk to you guys later. Ciao.